So for my 66th birthday, we decided to fly down to Gulf Shores and take gyrocopter lessons with Mark Spriggs. I have one of these on order, and I'm looking forward to being able to fly one home. As we were taxiing out, we saw a burned up plane on the left. It was a Cirrus, and Mark told me that the owner had brought it in for maintenance. The maintenance department had set the parking brake on it, and the owner tried to take off. By the time he realized something was wrong, he was well down the runway, the brakes were smoking, and the plane ended up catching on fire. Talk about a bad day. In flying, the smallest things can become a big deal. I must have struggled with shutting this door for about 3 minutes, and I'm going to have to work on that and get a little bit better. The rotor on top of the gyro provides the lift, but it's not attached to the engine. It's free spinning. It requires wind to blow through it, and that's what the prop on the back of the gyro does. It pushes the gyro forward to provide the wind that makes the rotor on top spin. On the ground, we get the process started through a process called pre-rotation, which significantly decreases the amount of time required to take off. So we're down to maybe 300 feet required for takeoff. Our plan was to fly to Dolphin Island. It was a pretty busy day at the other airports with people practicing landings. At Dolphin Island, the runway is fairly short, so we felt like we would have the place to ourselves, which it turns out is what happened. We passed a large structure on the way out to Dolphin Island that's there on our left. I don't know if it was an old rig or sand dredger. If I had been by myself, I would have circled around it and looked a little more. I sure am looking forward to having my own gyrocopter. So this is where we practiced landings called touch and goes. And there was a strong crosswind that day, and my first landing was not too pretty. It was a little bumpy, and it ended up knocking the camera off the dashboard. And I decided to concentrate on flying and not filming landings that I probably wouldn't put on a video anyway. Well, the next morning, I practiced landings again, and they were much better, but I don't have it on video, so you'll just have to take my word for it. We have a Meridian turboprop that we fly in, which is a good deal faster than the Gyro. So that's what we flew. My wife and I flew going home to Atlanta from Gulf Shores. We had to deal with a fair amount of weather. We didn't actually get caught in it, but we had to kind of dance around through the clouds. And so I thought I'd show you some of the video and the decision processes I go through in a situation like that on the way home. By some pop-ups, which are kind of small isolated thunderstorms. You can see one building there off our left, and then on the screen you can see the weather we flew around. But we got over it pretty quickly, and we were headed home to Atlanta. Coming into Atlanta, the weather was actually a lot more significant than it was coming out of Gulf Shores. They gave us the Booker T arrival going direct to Keeps, and an arrival is a series of waypoints that is a path that you follow. So as I expanded the screen, it looked like that path actually does a pretty good job of threading us through the various storms. I also take a look at the local weather that's in Canton, and I realize that the weather there looks pretty good, so we may not have too bad of a ride. Now, as we're getting close to Keeps, take a look at the weather again, and you can see that we're going to be going through some quite a few pop-ups. So this is where I turn on our onboard radar, which is real handy because it gives us real-time information and it helps us avoid any surprises. So at this point, we're down to 9,000 feet, and as you can see, we're actually going to go underneath any weather. So we're almost home free. All I have to do is make a smooth landing, and all will be well. As I was coming in for a landing into Canton, I saw a huge helicopter sitting on the taxiway that I hoped he hadn't been waiting on me, but turned out it was a Sikorsky CH-53, which is a transport helicopter. It didn't look like he was going to be getting out of our way, so I decided to take a detour and go in through the other taxiway across the runway. I always enjoy seeing the line guys that welcome us home as I shut down the plane, and they'll take care of filling it up for our next adventure. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll be able to join us again for more fun in the air.